I feel somewhat embarrassed to be saying that colleagues should actually be stood here, or other colleagues should be stood here as opposed to me. My journey started on that eventful day in 2005 when the announcement came, and I worked continually heading up our efforts with LOCOG, ODA, etc., until that day in early 2011 when we were granted the contract. And so I never actually got my hands dirty. I wasn't at the coalface, but I'm here to represent the efforts of the Arena Group. I think it's important for me to say that the Arena Group comprises a number of business units, which you can see before you, and these business units are ostensibly the ones that we want to give you access to if you are a stakeholder, an organizing committee, or somebody involved in delivering an iconic games. Let me start by just reminding everybody that London's promises were about no white elephants, a greater incidence of temporary facilities, which you've seen. I'll just flick on slightly. A promise to utilize the London iconic sites as backdrops and showcases for the events. Example, Lord's, Greenwich, and Horse Guards Parade, the one we're going to talk about. And lastly, a sustainable event. Our expertise is also built around an inventory of products and commodities, you would refer to them as, which are all about improving a spectator experience. And here I'm just demonstrating that our business model now has taken us out globally to get just greater exposure to those world opportunities and give us local connectivity in terms of business targets. Today is all about the beach volleyball. The beach volleyball actually ranged across 32 acres at the very heart and centre of London, comprising the Mall, Buckingham Palace, Whitehall, St James's Palace, all of these iconic landmarks. And this is the culmination of all that effort. A World Heritage Site with an amazing skyline and backdrop, beamed to a global TV audience, and courtesy of the clever designs at the beginning from our friends Populous, who were determined to show the full vista of London and allow 50 million people in the UK alone, notwithstanding the 15,000 every day that came to that event 3 times a day, and turned it into what I thought was a superb carnival, an experience of everything that could be deemed best practice in the UK. If we look at the scope of works, we've got St James's Park, where we had catering, practice courts, and corporate hospitality facilities. That's a new architecture that we provided as part of our £7 million investment into the London Olympic Games. That's commitment. At the heart of the challenge, I felt, was this early engagement that was referred to earlier by Jeff and has been referred to by others. But it was engagement with the event professionals and their respective organisations. And that is quite unusual, as Jeff said. We were brought in very early, and I think everybody benefited as a consequence of coming in early. In Arena's case, it was a unique turnkey operation, and it mitigated all the risk, or many of the risks, that follow supply chain requirements. LOCOG knew that we were credible from our history, from our brands. They knew that we were capable, and they knew that we were very committed, hence our investment into £7 million worth of equipment. And of course, what did it was, the question was raised, can you actually do this job in the period that you've been allocated? And we give a determined and unequivocal, yes, we can. I felt like I was sitting in a doctor's waiting room waiting for a prognosis of something for weeks and weeks, but nevertheless we did it. How was it different? Well, let me start. It was a multi-sports venues. We had a turnkey role, early engagement through the feasibility study, and that was many, many years ago. We said it could be done. We had a professional team, and we were able to deliver a strategy for containment, security, sand, seats, structures, fencing, flooring, etc., assisted by our friends at Agreco and CTS, and Jeff and ES within the test event phase. Sorry, I'm trying to keep to my 10 minutes, John. Let's look at the planning and deadlines. The event wasn't easy. It was back-to-back with Trooping the Colour, an annual event that some of you are familiar with, but we couldn't get onto the site until Trooping the Colour closed out. In between, there was the Queen's Diamond Jubilee and then Bomber Command celebrations. We had 36 days from start to finish. That's starting work on the 18th of June and handing over on the right time for the men's cycling, which we handed over on June the 8th. Sorry, we started on June the 18th. The men's cycling had to start on July the 28th in what amounts to the most sensitive location of the Games. This was the stakeholder engagement. Suffice for me to just put the names up. These are the people that we had to communicate with, have dialogue with every day throughout that period. But it was done by a group of event professionals who had experience of working within this environment with these people throughout throughout their history. And that's why we chose them to assist Arena in the project. If I look, this is the team. That's just part of the team, actually. There was a huge amount of people, but they're all consummate industry professionals, both in a technical and project management sense. And I think what was quite clever of the guy who led the thing, he chose to go down a route with his organization and put in package managers for the various commodities, and that worked extremely well. 2 phases to the task. The first was to stick in the practice and athlete training, and we had a deadline area, and we had a deadline for July the 15th, but we actually handed over on July the 13th. The second phase was to complete for the for cycling on the 28th, and we were ready on the 23rd. Containment strategy, we're right at the heart of this, very, very complex strategy, almost akin to a permanent cabling project, and we had to do it in 6 weeks. There were routes required to suit all the suppliers: power, water, waste, data fiber, movement detectors, audio, video, and CCTV. We built 72 cable bridges, 5 million litres of water, 2,700 kilowatts of power were required, and we had weeks to resolve and deliver. Some feat. In terms of media management, Olympic Broadcasting Services involved and consulting with us from the get-go. Facilitation of wiring throughout the whole site. Media positions and desks was another challenge for us across the Games, not only across Horse Guards Parade as a venue. High-speed broadband access, and lastly, and very important, clear sight lines for all the sports. I want to mention sustainability. Is Kirsten here? No? Kirsten Henson, a lovely lady who assisted us throughout the whole venture, former employee of ODA. We were required to have compliance with 9001, 8901, and 14001. 95% of our materials were returned to the rental stock post the Games. We're still in the process of taking down Excel, but 95% of our product will come back into the inventory, and we've donated surplus stuff back into the local community, and Kirsten was the driving force behind that, helping us. So, there it is. Amazing experience for me personally, the end of a dream, which started in 2000 in Sydney, and I won't bore people with where I went to after that. But it was the ultimate spectator experience for me, and for others, I hope. Great sight lines for the sport, an iconic backdrop of the skyline of London. I don't know how I'm doing for time here, John. Okay. I'd like to actually, there's a lot more I could say, but I do want to wrap up with some important message for you all. These are some of the metrics in there. Is it supposed to fly in? Yeah. Get a load of all that. That's what had to go in 6 weeks and be organised with the support of a lot of people in the UK, friends, colleagues, companies. Amazing. I'll flick on quickly now because I'm conscious. Where next? Well, where next, guys? Tell me where next. We'd like to be in Brazil. We'd like to be in Russia. We'd like to be in Korea. We're capable. We're competent. I think we're credible, having done all this. And I just want to, I'm trolling around to finish off my session. I found actually a quote. John prompted me, and I did it quite hurriedly. But there's another iconic English punk band called the Pistols. How many of you know the Pistols? Yeah, all of you, I hope. Well, I'd like to just take something from their canon. We planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. And more, much more than this, we did it the arena way. Thanks.